who says pawn shops are only for regular people. The team on Pawn Stars was in for a big surprise when some well-known Hollywood actors decided to stop by. Yes, you heard that right. These are moments when famous actors walked in ready to make a deal on Pawn Stars. First up is Dennis Quaid. One day, a man named Robert walked into the shop holding a poster of actor Dennis, portraying President Ronald Reagan. Rick, one of the shop's experts, noticed right away that Quaid had an uncanny resemblance to the former president. Rick mentioned that the movie was likely to be released soon, and it seemed like he already knew quite a bit about it, even though there wasn't even a trailer out yet. Rick, being cautious, asked Robert if the autograph on the poster was real. Robert confidently replied that it was an authentic signature. When Rick asked how much Robert was looking to get for the signed poster, Robert shot for $350. But Rick wasn't ready to jump into the deal just yet. I was thinking $350. Were you there to see him sign it? No, I wasn't. Okay, so you mind if I call somebody down and check out the autograph? Not at all. I got an expert. He'll tell me right away if it's real. Okay. It's not that I don't trust you, I just don't trust anybody. I got it. He needed to make sure the signature was the real deal, so he surprised Robert by inviting Dennis Quaid himself into the shop. This left Robert visibly nervous. Well, this young man right here brought it a poster and says you signed it. Well, first off, what in the hell are you doing with this poster? When Dennis Quaid walked in, Rick asked him where the poster came from. Robert explained that he got it from the movie's producer, a story that Quaid confirmed. Quaid even added that he personally signed the poster for the producer, Mark Joseph. During the conversation, Quaid shared his deep respect and admiration for President Reagan, describing him as a charismatic leader who won over the American people. Rick then asked Quaid to verify the signature on the poster, to which Quaid with a smile confirmed that the scribbled signature was indeed his own. Rick offers Robert $100 for the Dennis Quaid poster, but Robert isn't convinced. He knows the value has gone up since Quaid personally confirmed the signature. After some back and forth, they eventually settle on $200, and both parties walk away satisfied with the deal. Next, James walks into the shop carrying a piece of musical history, Bob Dylan's album Self-Portrait, released back in 1970. James is looking to get $150 for it, even though he admits the album has some wear and tear from the years. Rick examines the album and shares his thoughts. He finds the album a bit weird because it's filled with covers of other people's songs instead of Dylan's original work. Despite this, Rick can't deny that the album is in pretty good shape, and he figures it could attract a collector's interest. What James doesn't know is that Bob Dylan is actually in town performing in Las Vegas. I'm hoping I can get $8 out of it. Rick, fully aware of this, keeps it under wraps. James insists on his $150 asking price, but Rick counters with $50, explaining that the album could fetch $150 to $200 if it were in mint condition. After some consideration, James agrees to the $50, and Rick takes the album, already plotting how to make a better profit. Rick decides the best way to increase the album's value is to get it signed by Bob Dylan himself. So he sends Chumlee out on a mission to track down the music legend. Chumlee heads out and, by a stroke of luck, runs into Bob Dylan outside the hotel where he's staying for his Las Vegas performance. Dylan, being gracious, agrees to sign the album and even asks Chumlee if he wants a specific dedication. Chumlee, without thinking too much about it, asks Dylan to make it out to his name. Dylan does his requested, and Chumlee returns to the shop, beaming with his personalized signed album. However, when Chumlee shows Rick the autograph, Rick is less than thrilled. He's actually pretty annoyed. Rick points out that no one will want to buy an album signed to Chumlee. It's too personal, and it ruins the resale value. Frustrated, Rick tells Chumlee he might as well keep the album for himself. Meanwhile, in the background, Richard Harrison, the shop's founder, watches the whole scene unfold from his wheelchair, shaking his head in disbelief at Chumlee's blunder. Later on, Rick encounters a customer who bears a striking resemblance to actor Steve Carell. Curious, Rick approaches the man and asks if he's actually Steve Carell. The man denies it, insisting he's just a regular guy. But Rick, not one to be easily fooled, makes a playful remark. He says he always imagined Steve Carell would be much shorter, not realizing he's just insulted the actor. That's when Carell, a bit indignant, finally admits that he is indeed the famous actor. Rick can't help but laugh, and he shares that one of the things he loves about Las Vegas is never knowing who you might bump into. As their conversation continues, Steve Carell's attention shifts to a World War II diver's knife displayed in a glass case. He's fascinated and tells Rick he's interested in it. Rick, seeing an opportunity, tells Carell the knife is worth $2,500. So it's a knife and a bottle opener and a corkscrew and a billy club. I know that's what you were going for. As Rick hands over the diver's knife, Carell jokes about its appearance, saying it looks more like a billy club. He starts playing around with the knife, showing his playful side, which leads to lots of laughter. After the joking subsides, the negotiation begins. But this is no ordinary haggle. Carell surprises Rick by offering $4,000 for the knife, $1,500 more than the asking price. Sensing a challenge, Rick ups the ante, asking for $5,000, but Carell doesn't back down. Instead, he raises his offer to $6,000 in the end. Though Carell doesn't purchase the knife, he admits he's a collector and loves browsing through the pawn shop, promising that he'll return to spend hours exploring it the next day. Despite not making the sale, Rick enjoys the exchange, knowing it's all part of the unpredictable charm of Las Vegas. Then comes Japanese sword expert Mike Yamasaki. He presents Rick with a restored samurai sword, a prized possession that dates back to the early 1600s. The restoration process was meticulous, with the sword receiving a new case, authentic Japanese wood, and a traditional handle wrap. Rick is thrilled with the outcome and decides that this sword is too valuable to sell. Instead, he plans to display it in a case so he can admire it every day. However, Rick didn't anticipate that Chumlee would encounter a celebrity who is both interested in combat sports and has a passion for collecting rare weapons. Yamasaki, the samurai sword expert, estimates that now that the sword is in perfect condition, it could be worth anywhere from $35,000 to $40,000. Rick, speaking to the camera, shares that he waited over 2 years for the sword to be refurbished, and the result was worth the wait. Just as Rick is basking in the satisfaction of owning this incredible piece of history, UFC President Dana White walks into the store, eager to add to his collection of weapons. Chumlee, never want to miss an opportunity, starts bragging about the samurai sword Rick just had restored, mentioning that it could be traced back to its original samurai family from hundreds of years ago. This sword is from the 1600s. It looks like it was made just yesterday. Right? The word samurai means to serve, because you were there to protect and to serve the emperor. It was one of the highest honors. Something like this is $40,000. Corey, observing this interaction, can't help but asks Chumlee which samurai sword he's talking about. Chumlee casually responds that it's the sword Rick specifically said not to sell. Hearing this only piques Dana White's interest even more. A sword from the 1600s is rare enough, but one that isn't readily available for purchase makes it even more desirable. Chumlee, eager to make the sale, tells White that the sword is in such good condition it looks like it was made yesterday. Because of this, he values the sword at $40,000. Dana White counters with an offer of $330,000, sweetening the deal with a promise to buy every other sword. Chumlee had previously shown him the camera, then zooms in on a countertop with 8 different swords displayed on it, ready for purchase. Chumlee quickly does the math, adding the other swords to the deal for an additional $30,000, bringing the total to $60,000. Without hesitation, Chumlee accepts the offer. Rick soon emerges, realizing that his prized samurai sword, which he waited years to have restored, has just been sold to Dana White. Although a bit disappointed, Rick sees an opportunity and asks White if he'd like to check out another sword he recently acquired. White agrees, and Rick places an older sword on the counter. This sword, Rick explains, belonged to a lord during the Japanese Civil War, and he prices it at $10,000. Dana White Having just purchased several swords suggests that maybe Rick could give him